So, welcome to 12.4. Here we're going to talk about how to solve a polynomial. So again, specifically we're talking about quadratic equations. So we're going to be talking about how to solve quadratic equations. All right, our learning target for today is going to be, we're going to be able to factor and solve quadratic functions. So we're going to focus in on one way to solve quadratic functions. Later on we'll learn other ways as well. All right, we're going to be successful today when we can factor a polynomial completely, which is what we've been working on already, and then taking to that next step in solving that quadratic after we factor. All right. So before we get started, I want to make sure we review the zero product property from 11b, which is if we have two factors that are going to be multiplied together and it equals 0, then either one of the factors have to be 0 or both of the factors have to be 0 in order for that statement to be true, because 0 times anything is 0 itself. So the way we would solve this from 11b is we would take each factor and set each factor equal to 0. X minus 10 equals 0. 2x plus 5 equals 0. And then we would solve each equation separately. So in this one, I would add 10 to both sides in order to cancel out the plus 10 since they are inverses of each other. And I get x equals 10. And then on the other side, I'm going to start off with subtracting the 5. Because the inverse of plus 5 is a minus 5. 0 minus 5 is negative 5. Those would cancel. Then I would divide by 2. And x equals negative 5 over 2. Okay, so that's what we did in 11b in order to find the zeros using the zero product property. What we're going to be doing now is we're going to start in standard form. We're going to factor like we have been doing, and then we are going to set each factor equal to 0 and solve. So again, here's the steps. We're going to step 1 is to get the equation equal to 0. In order to apply the zero product property, it has to equal 0. We're then going to factor the quadratic completely. Then we're going to use the zero product property to solve both factors. And then the end thing is making sure we answer the question. Is it looking for just one of the answers? Is it looking for both? Or do we have to do something with those answers? All right. So here's the first example from full go, beginning to end. All right. So again, we're going to factor completely. And just like before, the first question is GCF. This one is a yes, it has a 2. So we're going to factor out the 2. We're left with x squared minus 4x plus 3 equals 0 because it's already equal to 0, which is a good thing. Now we're going to factor that x squared plus minus 4x plus 3. The 2 stays on the outside. X and x because we got x squared. What multiplies to 3 is 3 and 1. Now, I'm going to play this a little smarter. Again, save time since we had a video on factoring. Since it's minus in the middle, we need both of those to be minuses. Negative 3 times negative 1 is positive 3. If I was to check, x times negative 1 is negative 1x. Negative 3 times x is negative 3x. Negative 4x. So we factored it correctly. Now we're going to take each factor, set it equal to 0. That does not have an x, so I don't need to do that because 2 will never equal 0. So I worry about x minus 3 equals 0. X minus 1 equals 0. I'm going to add 3 to both sides. X equals 3. And then over here, we're going to add 1 to both sides. And then x equals 1. So my answers for the first quadratic is x equals 3 or x can equal 1, and that statement will be true. All right. In number 3, first step is to get it equal to 0. It is not equal to 0, so we're going to make sure we bring that positive 12 to the other side. In order to get the positive 12 to the other side, we're going to subtract the 12. And now we have 2x squared minus 5x minus 12 equals 0. Again, we're going to factor it. This does not have a GCF, so we're going to our 2 parentheses right off the bat with our 2 factors. What multiplies to 2x squared is 2x and x. our list for negative 12, positive 1, negative 12, negative 3, positive 4, negative 2, and 6. Negative 2 and 6 cannot work. It'll give us a GCF in the first parenthesis. So I'm just going to work my way up. Negative 3, positive 4. Can't put 4 over here. It'll give me a GCF. Time to check. 2x times 4 is 8x. Negative 3x is a positive 5x. The right numbers, but I need to change my signs because I need a negative 5x. So now I'm going to set my factors equal to 0, that we are correctly factored. I'm going to speed this up a little bit. Over here, we're going to add the 4. We're just going to get x equals 4. On this side, we get 2x equals plus 3 goes to a negative 3. And then we need to divide by 2. X is negative 3 over 2. Or x is a positive 4. All right. So we're going to do one more example real quick. Solve the quadratic. Again, we're going to start off with, is it equal to 0? Yes. So we're going to go to GCF. And it does have a GCF. The GCF is 2x. Because they both have an x term. They're both divisible by 2. 2x. What is left over? If I divide by 2x, I'm left with x. 4x divided by 2x is a plus 2 equals 0. Can I continue factoring? No, because this is not a quadratic. So I set both factors equal to 0. And I solve my two equations. And divide by 2. X equals 0. I'm going to subtract my 2. X equals negative 2. And there's our two solutions. All right. Last problem of the day is an example of something that could be asked outside of just what is the solutions. This one says, find what is the sum of all the values of x and x squared minus 8x equals negative 12. So what it's really asking for you is to solve it first. So again, I'm going to get it equal to 0 by adding that 12 to the other side. Beforehand, to get it equal to 0. So I end up with x squared minus 8x plus 12 equals 0. I'm going to factor. There is no GCF. Moving on to our parentheses. And we have x times x. For 12, again, I can use 1 and 12. That's not going to help us out. 3 and 4 is not going to help us out. I'm going to go with 6 and 2. And again, I'm going to use minuses because I have the negative in the middle. Again, if I check it real quick, I got negative 2x from x times negative 2. Negative 6 times x is negative 6x, which is negative 8x. From here, we're going to set our factors equal to 0. And we're going to get x equals 6, x equals 2. Now, that's where we normally stop. However, if we go back and do that last step, what is the question asking for? The sum of all the values of x. So the sum, we have 6, and we have x is 2. Sum means to add. 6 plus 2 is 8. So my final answer is 8. All right. So that is a quick round of solving. It is just combining two separate things that we learned in the past and putting them together. All right. Have a great day, and we'll keep checking in.